How long do you feel like you need to give something a fair shot?
90 days. 90 days. There we go.
That's a high five.
Oh, high five.
Jeez. I believe that each and every one of us has the power within ourselves to create the life that we really want. And I want to help give you the tools to make that happen. I'm Danica Patrick, and I'm pretty intense. Welcome to the Pretty Intense podcast. Today on the show, we have Jordan Syatt, who is a trainer, big in the fitness community. He is funny as all get up on Instagram. He makes fantastic videos. He has alter egos. He wears wigs. I mean, what else do you want to know? He's hilarious. So we laughed a lot, but for sure we talked a ton about fitness. We talked about I feel like the title of the show should be like, Don't Be an Asshole, because that's kind of his theme, is like, everything in moderation in general, but like it's common sense. Things like, if you're not in a caloric deficit, you're not going to lose weight. Stuff that we know, but we just kind of don't want to hear it. So he puts it straight to us. Tons of fantastic info. If you're interested in fitness and food at all, you're going to love this. Jordan Syatt, thank you so much for coming on the Pretty Intense podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I'm actually fairly intimidated right now because I wrote a workout program called Pretty Intense.
Okay.
It's like a book and a program and everything. And you are a real trainer. And I'm just like a glorified lover of working out. So you are going to be my new guru when it comes to everything that I have questions on. And like I said, I've worked out my whole life. And so if I have questions, I got to imagine somebody else out there has these questions.
Well, I'll answer any questions. I'll be straightforward. I'm equally, if not more, intimidated. So we're both intimidated right now.
Fantastic. This is going to be a good conversation then. I'm sure we won't be at all nervous. But first, let's give a little background. I follow you on Instagram. You are hilarious.
Thank you.
Inspirational and no bullshit, and I love that. Like, you inspired me to actually track my calories when you were like,
seriously?
You could try this, anytime you want. All that matters is you're in a caloric deficit, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm sure I am. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to get an app, and I'm going to actually, I can usually write it down based on knowledge, but let's not even do that. Let's either you could scan barcodes in through things, and you can be super duper detail oriented. Yeah. And so I did that. And
Which app did you get?
I did the My Macros.
Perfect. Yeah.
So awesome. I started doing it, and I was like, oh shit. I eat way too much fat. It's like, I thought I was eating maybe 1,200 calories a day, and I was like, nah, I probably was eating 2,200.
That's what happens, though. A lot of people, they don't realize how much they're eating.
Okay, so anyway, that's just my super excited. You've helped me transform what I thought was something I had under control. But anyway, so tell me your background. How did you get into what made you want to work out even in the first place?
So I started wrestling when I was 8.
Because you're a trainer. Let's establish that.
I'm a trainer.
Yes.
I'm a trainer, and I started wrestling when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
I loved sports and athletics. So
no
wrestling was
cauliflower ear, though.
Thank God.
Yeah.
No Thank God. I wore my headgear. I did. Actually, I remember when I got my first pair of headgear, the coach was like, "You should wear it to sleep to break it in." So I wore it to sleep. So wrestled from 8 to 18, okay. And when I got to high school, I made varsity as a freshman.
Wow. And
I cut a lot of weight. So I cut from 112 to 103. So I was cutting a lot of weight. I was really small.
Those numbers make sense to me because that's the size I am.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And when you're that small, it's a huge percentage of your body weight
yes.
too. So because I made varsity, I was going up against juniors and seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And so technique-wise, I was good. Speed-wise, I was good. Endurance-wise, I was good. But strength-wise, I didn't have it, especially with those older kids. So I had to learn how to cut weight while getting stronger at the same time. And that's the main goal of so many people. How do you get stronger while losing weight? And so I started to dive into it.
Right.
And I applied to intern at a gym. And the first gym I applied to, I got denied. They're like, we don't want a 14-year-old kid walking around here. And the next gym, they accepted me, which was a huge blessing. And so from 14 all the way through high school.
Because essentially you weren't allowed in because of your age?
The first gym, what they said was they were like, our clientele won't want a kid walking around shadowing and looking.
Okay.
So I was like, I was actually devastated. And my mom was like, so go apply to another gym, which was like, I was like, okay, great.
Oh. Huh, thanks, Mom.
So I did that, and I got accepted to the next gym, which was amazing, and they were very science-based. And so I'd worked there all through high school, And then at the end of high school, I actually took a year off. I lived in Israel for a year. And then when I got back to America, then I went to school and I started majoring in exercise science.
Okay.
But what I realized was that basically everyone knows what to do. They know they should be eating healthier. They know they should be working out. So why aren't they doing it?
Right.
So I realized majoring in exercise science, learning all this stuff wasn't going to help as much as help learning the psychology of why people do the things they do. So I switched to behavioral health psychology, sort of to understand the science behind why people make the decisions they make. Mm-hmm. Because you could have the best program in the world, the best nutrition, the best workout, the best whatever, but if you're not following it, what's the point? So I wanted to figure out how could I get people to be consistent with something rather than, so that's what I switched to. And then I was competing in powerlifting, and I went through college and I started writing articles sort of just to document my journey, and then started coaching people online, and then became Gary Vaynerchuk's coach down the road, and sort of just went from there.
You talk about the psychology of working out, and my book, Pretty Intense, the book is broken down into 3 sections, and the first section is mind-body. The first section is talking about how are you going to develop the right psyche to, my hope always was to make sure that the program was not something you just do for 3 months to lose weight. Because as I told people, you will lose weight. If you do the program, you're going to, but then what are you going to do after 3 months? If that's your only goal, what are you going to do then? So the point was to hopefully get it ingrained into them, the reason why they're doing it being to feel better, to, looking better is great. That can be maintained then, but to feel better and to eat to feel better too. And what was crazy is that people would start doing it and they'd start on the diet and then they'd have a cheat day. And I had a forum for the trial group for the workout program. And I was hearing people say oh, I ate pizza and I felt so bad. I wished I hadn't. And you're like, yes. Because you should eat to feel good, not because you're like, oh God, I have to eat this broccoli and think of it in a negative way. You're like, I want to feel good.
100%.
I don't even desire bad food because it just doesn't make me feel good. So the book focuses on the psyche, and you spent a ton of time, from my understanding, 7 years straight training Gary and on the road everywhere that he went. So please tell me about Gary. Please tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so actually I coached Gary for 3 years. 3 years straight, nonstop, every day, 7 days a week.
And let's establish who he is and what he does.
So Gary he's like the ultimate entrepreneur.
Right.
He's just and he's, talk about intense. He's the most intense person you'll ever meet.
Right.
But he's so passionate. He loves what he does. He's the kindest, most caring guy, but he works harder than anyone I know. He's amazing.
Okay.
Basically, he decided to get a personal trainer, and he worked with my buddy Mike first, and they did a 2-year arrangement where they would work out 7 days a week. Mike, then when Mike's contract was up, Gary was like, I want another coach, and I was living in Israel at the time, and Mike knew about me because of my content online, and he liked what I was doing, and I had helped him a lot. Okay. So basically, he recommended me to Gary.
Okay.
So I flew from Tel Aviv to New York, coached Gary for an hour, interviewed. Then they were like, we want to
got hired within an hour, basically.
Basically, and then so a lot of people hear that Gary works out 7 days a week. They're like, what the hell's the point of that? That's too much.
That's bad? Oh, good. Well, we're going to get to that. That's called the rest days topic. I want to talk about that because I'm not good at it.
Well, so basically for me, the way that I spoke to Gary, I was like, listen, you don't need to work out 7 days a week.
Okay.
If someone needed to work out 7 days a week, then very few people would actually do it at all, because they would be like, why bother working out if I have to do 7 days a week?
Yeah.
For Gary, it's not that he needs it from a physical perspective. It's more like when he makes working out such a daily habit, like brushing your teeth or getting dressed or just feeding yourself, taking a shower, when it becomes the daily habit, then all of a sudden it's just part of your schedule and you just do it no matter what.
Amen.
And when you think about it, it's something that you just do rather than something, okay, well, this is only Monday, Wednesday, Friday type thing. It becomes much more easy to just do it. You also give yourself more leeway. Like a lot of people, if they miss a workout, they think they screwed everything up. They miss a workout, they miss a week of workouts. It's like, oh, I screwed everything up. And so when you just have it planned into your daily schedule, even if you miss one, it's not a big deal because you're going to go back tomorrow.
No one workout or one meal will ever crush you.
That's exactly right. So yeah, basically wherever Gary was, I was. If he was in Hong Kong, I was in Hong Kong. If he was in London, I was in London. LA,
what did
everywhere.
You leave behind in Israel then? Where you had a job there, I'd imagine.
Well, so my business was solely online. So I went to Israel and I had some in-person clients, but I just love it there. So when I graduated college, have you haven't been?
No, but a friend just went and the pictures look phenomenal.
It's incredible.
Okay. So that's a whole nother topic.
So I was living in Israel and I was just working online, and then Gary's coach reached out to me and said, "Hey, I think, Gary would like to work with you. Come and we'll meet." And so I coached Gary. And that was
obviously, Gary Vee is extremely inspirational. He's extremely direct.
Yes.
He's a fast talker. You better be listening. But he's very inspirational, and he's, he to me is like part of the wave of the future of the way you need to be thinking. So, you were already tuning in to the mind and what needed to happen. So in my mind, you kind of attracted Gary based on the fact that you understand the gravity of that and how important it is. So what was he able to add to your already seeking mind on this topic?
It's really interesting. There's a lot. Gary has given me a lot, mainly from a psychological and emotional perspective. I think, and I talk about this one a lot, I think this is one of the biggest things he's done for me.
Okay.
Everybody has insecurities. Mm-hmm. We all do. Everybody. Yeah. Everyone. And one thing that I think happens on social media is, consciously or not, we tend to hide our insecurities. We tend to try and put out, whether it's through a filter and an image or whatever you're writing about, like you show your best self, the things you only want people to see, which ironically, it exacerbates your insecurities.
Yes.
Right? Because like when you're hiding everything you don't want everyone to know, the idea that they'll find out becomes more and more scary. Worse, yeah. So one thing that Gary said to me, my favorite quote is, "Your insecurities are the jail of your emotions." And basically his recommendation is, if you're insecure about something, put it out publicly. Say it. Tell people. Like,
oh my God, that's so scary.
As truthfully, as honestly, as deliberately as you can, tell them what your insecurity is. And then when you do that, it goes away, because once you own it, you own it. They have no power in it. That's exactly right.
There's no power over that. There's no...
And that's one of the, a lot of people tell me, they're like, "Man, you're so honest." Like, you just... I'm like, yeah, because it's my way of gaining power over myself.
Yeah.
Where I'm no longer scared someone's going to find something out, or like, I'm going to like... Because I'm truthful about what I struggle with. Mm-hmm. If I'm self-conscious about being short, self-conscious about being bald, self-conscious about... I'll just say it.
Yeah.
Because once I say it, then it's like, okay, like, it is what it is.
That's what you texted me when you were in the lobby. You were like, "Hey, I'm here and I'm the short bald guy."
That's exactly right. And so for me, and that's helped me a lot with my content, right? Because you one of the things you like about my content is my Kenzie Morgan skin.
Oh my God.
Put the wig on.
Kenzie's great.
And it's like, growing up, I loved being different characters and doing different accents. I loved that.
Super bummed you didn't bring the wig, but whatever.
And when I started doing those characters on camera and being more of myself when I loved, people started to connect with me more.
Right. We're so scared to do it, though.
We're
That's
so
the problem,
scared to actually
right?
be who we are. And the ironic part is, when you start really showing who you are, people start to really connect with you.
They can sense it. They sense that authenticity. And I often was asked, about, my following and the fans and what, people being interested in me. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't really know. I said, but I guess they just must be able to sense my authenticity. Yeah. They just they can sense that I'm being honest. I answer a question when I'm asked it. I don't give some sugar-coated, crappy answer that's boring and thanking every sponsor under the sun and forgetting to answer the damn question. Like, I'm just being honest, and I'm just like showing up. And I was just talking about this with some friends the other day about my persona and who I am in front of people, and was there ever difficulty in that? And it's like, I kind of just always showed up, so I never had to be scared of it. That's the thing too, is if you put out there on your social media or however you present yourself in life in a way that isn't accurate, the fear only gets bigger about them finding out. So if you just get it out there right away, like, yes, I'm aggressive. Yes, I'm emotional. Yes, I fly off the handlebars. Yes, I also cry in joy when I finally won. Like, I mean, 100%. If you just are who you are, then you're never shocking anyone either.
I think one of the imposter syndrome is real, right? Feeling like you shouldn't be where you are. And on social media, I couldn't imagine putting out something that's not myself, knowing that maybe I'll run into somebody and I won't be who I've put out.
Yeah, I say that about the filters. I'm like, look,
could you imagine?
I mean, I might brighten a photo if I'm backlit or something, just so you can see me, but I don't want to put a bunch of filters and I don't want to look like a damn puppy dog on my videos because I don't want someone to see me and be like, your eyes are a lot smaller than they were in your Instagram story. Different. They're like, oh, you look so different. It's like, oh, you're way, this than you. I mean, I saw a picture and I was like, surely this person is not that tall. I know that person. Sure enough, I looked up. You can add apps. You can have apps that make you taller.
It's crazy.
And so, look, if you're going to have to face the reality sooner or later. So you might as well just get on with it. And what's crazy and what you found out is that it's so relatable.
It makes it more enjoyable. A lot of people blame social media for people having low self-esteem and all that stuff. It's not social media. It's how you use social media.
True.
If you use it dishonestly to create a persona that's not you, then of course your self-esteem will tank. Because you're creating this persona and getting feedback based on likes off of something that's not real. Yeah. So then the idea of your real self becomes this bad thing. Whereas if you just put out who you are, all the feedback is just for you based on who you actually are.
Show up authentically. So you were a power lifter.
Correct. I was a power lifter.
And you didn't miss a single day of training in 4 years?
Yeah,
Is that
4
accurate?
years. Over 1,000 training sessions.
Okay, that's intensely committed. I respect that. I love that.
Thank you.
I'm the one that doesn't take rest days, so I respect that. And then you trained Gary. You obviously took a break. You have gotten back to training a little bit. So I have so many questions about the actual training itself that I have even asked myself. It's like Pandora's box. Working out and food is like, what works? Give me the answer. Everybody wants the pill.
I love
I'm using pill with air quotes around it because everybody wants to know, just do this and it'll work. So
they just want to know what's the answer. Just tell me what is the right way.
First and foremost, what do you need to do for weight loss?
If your goal is to lose fat,
yes,
calories are most important.
Yep.
Number one, calories are most important. And the first question that comes up from this, before someone is going to be in the comment section and be like, no, that's not true. The first thing is, well, not all calories are created equal. And that's not true. It's like
the good and bad calories.
It's like okay, well, to answer that, you have to say, well, what is a calorie? What is it?
Right.
Right? And
energy.
That's it. It's a unit of energy.
Yep.
In the same way, a mile, it measures the length of something. A mile is a mile. Whether you're on sand, in a forest, in New York, a mile is a mile.
Yeah.
It's not like a mile doesn't change. It's like what's within the mile, where you are. Mm-hmm. It might take longer to travel a mile based on where you are, but a mile is a mile. Mm-hmm. Same thing with a calorie. A calorie in broccoli is the same as calorie in a donut because it's just measuring the energy in the food. Mm-hmm. What changes is the nutrient composition. Mm-hmm. And nobody in their right mind could argue that a donut is as nutritious as a full salad, right? But if we're looking at the total calories, the energy within that food, then we can get a gauge for how much energy you're putting in your body.
Right.
And what most people who are struggling to lose weight don't realize is how much energy they're putting in their body.
Right.
And you could be eating quote unquote clean foods. You could be having, but eating too much energy is too much energy, period.
100%.
Whether it's avocado, whether it's eggs, whether it's donuts, whether it's
trail
bread.
Mix, my ultimate demise.
Granola
And trail mix,
exactly.
my ultimate demise. I'm like, I can crush 1,000 calories in a second with that stuff because I finally measured a serving of granola that I was eating.
Is that?
And I was like, oh,
it's the worst.
I'm eating 3 servings at a time.
But even the marketing makes it look healthy.
500 calories. And I'm like, it's my go to the store and grab a handful, or go to the pantry and grab a handful and shove it in my mouth and be like, that was good, I'll have another one. There's a couple servings
That's
there.
A whole meal.
So yes, 100% calories. And it's it gets out of control real fast, and fat is the number one way to jack it up, because it also astonishes me how many people don't know how many calories are in a gram of fat and protein and carbohydrate. And fat has 9 calories per gram, and carbohydrates and protein only have 4. So for every gram of fat, it's double the calories, basically.
Yes.
So that's why it goes so fast.
Generally speaking, the 2 things I like to focus on are calories, number 1, and protein, number 2.
Got it.
If your calories are met and your protein is met,
you're
good.
Yeah, true.
If your calories are number 1, especially for fat loss, right? We're going to stay on the fat loss. Calories number 1, protein number 2, because protein is going to be the most filling. It fills you up the most. Mm-hmm. It's also the only nutrient that can actually build muscle.
Okay.
It's the only one. Carbs and fats don't do that. Protein is the only one that allows you to build muscle.
Okay.
So if your calories are good, your protein is good. From there,
everything falls into place based on your total calories.
That's exactly right.
So it's actually
and people hear this and they're like, I just don't think that works.
I mean, seriously, like a year ago, I would have been like, I'm doing the work, I swear.
That's right.
And I am like, you don't know me, but I am an ultra healthy eater. Like, I don't even desire bad food. And I'm like, I'm the one that's putting like 11 adaptogens in my like 1 tablespoon of chia seeds made with water, hot water. Like, I mean, I'm like, so I get it. It's very easy to get it out of control.
And a lot of people, it's a very interesting psychological phenomenon, but people, when they're struggling to lose weight, they almost wear their struggle like a badge of honor on their sleeve.
Sure.
Where they'll be like, I'm doing everything. Like, I know it. And when you even possibly suggest that they're not, like that there might be missing something, they get super angry and defensive, which is why, like, the fact that you were like, you know what, I'm going to track my calories.
Yep.
To anyone who thinks you're actually doing everything right, track your calories for 3 days.
Dude, I agree. Like a
That's
week.
it.
Just like a couple days or a week, you eat mostly the same things.
Exactly.
So that's why I did it for like whenever I was home, I would do it, and I was like, oh, when I'm home or when I'm on the road now, it's so much easier because I'm like, I get it. Like look, I can't eat don't add fat in my breakfast and don't snack on fat, and then I'm fine. Like I finally learned the techniques.
Yeah.
But so you know, the value of protein in my head, I'm like, is protein a real thing? Like, is this just like a manufactured propaganda to sell animal meat, like slaughter some cows? Because I've got a little bit of an issue with slaughtering these days. So my vegan journey has somewhat begun, or at least more humane journey. So that makes protein difficult, by the way.
It would make
real,
it very difficult.
as in real. So tell me about protein. Like, just give me the quick overview of why. Like, it's a real thing. So you really need protein.
It's very important. It's very, very important. Now, like anything, you could go to either extreme. If you go to the bodybuilding community, they tend to say you need like 1.5 grams per pound of body weight, which is just, no, you don't. Okay. That's massively excessive.
Okay. So
but a lot of the people in the vegan community
what's the gold standard for how many
generally, like if you look at the science, 0.7 grams per pound of lean body mass. Now, I don't like using that
body
metric.
Weight?
Correct. Because
so if I have like 110 pounds, how much I should do it?
If you're 110 pounds, you'd want to then basically for you, because you're already very lean, we can use your body weight, right? You're already you don't have a lot of extra fat.
Okay.
So I'd use your body weight. I would say 100 to 110 grams would be great for you. That'd be fantastic. Okay. But if you have a lot more fat to lose, you don't want to go by total body weight, because let's say someone's 250, 300 pounds, 350 pounds. It's like, what, you're going to have 300 grams of protein?
Okay.
So like, that's why lean body mass is what you'll find in the literature.
Got it.
But I hate saying that, because then people are like, well, how do you know how much lean body mass you have? It's like,
look in the mirror, dude.
It's tough. So I try and go as the easiest metric possible for people to find.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then so protein grows muscle. What maintains muscle? Same thing?
Protein. Yep.
Okay. Got it.
Carbs can spare it, but protein is the most efficient at building. It's the only one that builds it, and the most efficient at sparing.
How in the hell do kids grow big and strong on fruit roll-ups then?
Fortunately, I mean, kids are growing anyway. They're going to grow anyway. And like, there are things called newbie gains. Like, you could watch someone go to the gym for the first time. Their nutrition is awful, their training is awful, but they start to grow. They start to get a little bit bigger. That diminishes after a certain amount of time. You then have to optimize your training.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially in your training level, right? Like, you're an advanced training. Like, the stuff that you do now, like, I bet you couldn't have done it when you first started at all.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, when you have a beginner, they can make progress way faster with far less than someone who's super advanced.
So what is the value of carbohydrate then?
Energy is super important. Hormonal response is super important.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I love carbs. And I found clients tend to do way better when they have enough carbs. Now, keto is a big fad right now. The keto diet.
We're going to get there.
It's a huge fad right now. And I'll be honest, I have nothing inherently against keto. My issue is with things that are unsustainable. And a lot of people look at keto as, well, I lost 20 pounds in 30 days, so I'm going to do keto. It's like, okay, but can you literally
So you're saying it could be like a cycle. You could do a cycle of keto if you wanted to lose some weight. You know,
I think everything is worth trying. Yeah. But in today's society, it's just like, how realistic is it to not eat carbs? Or like the amount of carbs that they allot you is just so small. So what's
about the amount of carbs that you should have if you are like if you train a little bit?
So basically, here's literally...
Or not at all.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I say I want to make it as simple as possible. So I'd say get your calories in check.
Yep.
That's number one.
How do you know how many calories you should eat?
So basically, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. take your body weight, or I like goal body weight. Goal body weight is a little bit better because if you have a lot to lose, then you're not basing it off of that. So your goal body weight, and people are going to be like, well, how do I know what my goal body weight is? Just pick a number. Just fucking pick a number and
stop
start with that.
overthinking it.
Seriously, just stop
making excuses.
Pick a number. Doesn't matter if it's exact. Doesn't matter if you get to it. Just pick a fucking number.
Right.
Your goal body weight. Multiply that by 12. Just that's your calories.
Okay.
Just that's super simple formula.
Yep.
For protein, 1 gram times your goal body weight.
Yep.
Again, just pick a fucking number, go with it, stick with that consistently for 30 days, guarantee you make progress.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. And then if from there you want to try doing keto, cool. Just do
so carbohydrates
keto
is
that.
1 per pound too? 1 gram per pound?
Carbs
per goal?
Different range. It depends. So like carbs like generally.
Don't break my heart.
I mean, carbs could have anywhere between like 20% of your diet to like 60%. It's like it ranges, and I hate the percentages just because it changes based on your body size and how many calories you're eating. 20% for someone who's 110 pounds is very different than 20% for someone who's 210 pounds, right? Because calories are going to change. So it's
by the way, I've always taken into account total body. Like, I'm like, oh, you're a boy, I'm a girl. You should probably have a little more than me.
Well, yeah, and that's generally just because men tend to be bigger, right?
Duh.
So it's like, but if you take 2 people, man, woman, who are the same exact size, they're probably going to have about the same calorie range. That being said, I have found women tend to respond better to a higher carb diet. Like women tend to be more carb sensitive. They do better with it. A lot of times, for whatever reason, there's this whole thing that fruit's going to make you fat lately.
I love
this idea.
I love
it
those
pisses
videos,
me off.
those
it's like
pictures of like looking at the banana and
we're
saying
like
like
super scared
with your face looking like, what? You know, this is the face I want you to think of when someone tells you that a banana is going to make you fat.
People are like,
you
no,
kidding?
sugar makes you fat, so no fruit. I'm like, when did you ever fucking meet someone who got fat from eating watermelon?
Right?
Ever?
Yeah, I
like,
totally
what
agree. Like,
person who's overweight has ever been like, you know, it was really
just too many blueberries.
It was the watermelon and cherries. That was it. It was just too many cherries. It's mind-boggling to me, and that's what people are so confused. And that's why when you break it down so simply, like calories, protein, they don't believe you.
Totally.
They're like, it can't be that simple.
Totally.
What supplements do you take? Like, no, but I heard about keto. What about intermittent fasting? It's like, for fuck's sake, calories, protein, that's it.
Right in that space, they make a whole bunch of excuses why they haven't done the easiest thing.
Yep, that's right.
Figure how many calories you need, get enough protein. Figure the rest out.
It just can't be that simple.
It just can't be.
Let's
just put the wig on and let's just tell them all about it. Okay, fat then. What's the role of fat?
So fat is super important.
Hang on, you're a coffee lover. Take a drink. You need to energize. There you go. Because careful, is there too much cream in there? Is it gonna make you fat?
There's a little bit too much. I'm just gonna have to do cardio for 7 hours after this. Fat's really important, especially from a hormonal perspective.
Yeah.
Now, I will say,
I feel like a girl would hear that and go, okay, and a guy would hear that and go, I got hormones.
Well, actually, it's important for both, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It's for both.
We all have
hormones.
We all have all of them.
That's exactly
you just
right.
have a little more testosterone. I have a little bit more estrogen.
Thank you. That's very important to know. We all have all of them. It's just different ratios.
Yes.
Now, there's another thing as well. A lot of people hear that fat has 9 grams per calorie or 9 calories per gram, and so they avoid it completely. But if you look at what's also really important to remember is satiety, how filling is a certain nutrient. Carbs fill us up more short term. Fat tends to be more filling long term. So if you want to sort of be strategic with your food, having carbs at the near the end of your meal, whereas more fats at the beginning, because you put fats at the beginning, then by the time you get to the end.
Oh, even in the timing of the meal, it matters?
Well, it doesn't matter from a fat loss perspective,
So
not from a fat loss, just
But
from staying full.
Sure, that's a weight loss tool.
Exactly. Just so, for example,
Or
if you're having a meal,
like keeping your calories in check tool.
yeah, and let's say you have like some avocado and then some rice and grilled chicken, you might want to start with the avocado and the chicken. Avocado's higher fat. So then by the time you get to the end of the meal, you're starting to fill up. The rice is going to fill you up more immediately, and that way by the end of the meal, you're more full.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. So I feel like, and this will kind of play into the guys and also me. Like, I mean, there's times where I want to gain more muscle. So what do you have to do to gain muscle?
What I want to say is it's super important for everyone to gain muscle, like women included. Like,
yeah.
It's
is that
super
what happens?
important.
Is that what happens as time goes on with most people? Is they've kind of like lost that sort of, I don't know if it's age or like the hormones that reduce your muscle mass, but essentially you just kind of, you're like, oh, it's just getting old, getting fat. And is it because of our reduction in lean muscle mass?
Well, a reduction in lean muscle mass is like absolutely massively detrimental and scary. Right. And it's really interesting. A lot of people say, oh, getting older means that you lose muscle mass. That's not necessarily the case.
Right.
What's happening is as we get older, people tend to move less.
Right.
They tend to eat less protein.
Right.
They tend to do less physical activity. So then, of course, their lean body has straps.
Anymore.
Exactly.
You know?
So
we're not picking girls up. Come on, swoop us up.
So, I mean, it's basically if you want to build muscle. And people hear that, a lot of women especially, they hear like build muscle and they think Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I know.
It's like, the way that I frame this is not lifting heavy weights for fear of looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger is like not riding a bicycle for fear of becoming Lance Armstrong, right? It's like you're not going to ride a bike and all of a sudden fucking win the Tour de France. That's not how, or like not driving a car because they don't want to be a fucking professional race car driver. Could you imagine? It's that ridiculous.
So many bad ones.
So
yeah, I know.
It's
You're
super
right. You're
important.
so right.
It's like lifting heavy weights doesn't make you bulky in a session or a year.
Right.
If you want to get bigger muscles, you have to eat in a calorie surplus. You have to eat a lot.
Got it.
And you have to lift appropriately.
Got it.
Lifting, I mean, also like think about female gymnasts. Tiny.
Yeah.
But they're strong as fuck.
Yeah.
They do shit that is outrageous. Or look at female figure skater or any figure skater. They're super strong. Holding people over their head with a big smile on their face. Are you kidding me? It's outrageous. It's super strong and they're not
blades
jacked.
next to their face?
Yes, exactly. It's just like, oh, this is great. It's like, that's just...
Blades of Glory. That's all I can think about.
I love that movie. There's a difference between getting stronger and getting bulky. Two different styles of training, two different styles of eating.
Okay, well, what makes you strong and what makes you bulky?
And this is, people are like, well, should I do more reps and less weight or more weight and fewer reps? Generally speaking, fewer reps and heavier weight is how you get stronger, not bigger. This is generally speaking. Okay. If you're doing higher repetitions and lower weight, that's where you end up getting bigger, which is counterintuitive to a lot of people. They think, oh, if you're lifting heavier, you're going to get bigger. Not the case. If you want to lift heavier weight for fewer reps, I'd say in between like 5 reps to 10 reps is a good range for strength. Once you get into the higher repetition range with lower weight, and you're like 8 to 15 repetitions, that's more muscle building, bigger. There's a lot of variables within that. Mm-hmm. But like, it's not like all of a sudden you lift 12. Yeah, exactly
sort of zone, right?
Yep. But remember, if you're not eating too many calories, you won't get bigger.
Okay, so that's key. So
that's the most important part.
If you're in a caloric deficit.
Correct. Or even in maintenance, if you're just not eating too much or too little.
Caloric deficit, you're on your spot, and you're lifting weights to gain muscle, you won't.
You won't get big.
Will you get stronger?
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
You can get stronger, but you cannot gain muscle.
Because strength isn't solely a function of muscle size. Right? It's really important to remember. Strength is not solely a function of how big your muscles are. Go to the gymnasts, go to the figure skaters. Right. Strength is also a function of how good your brain is at telling your muscle to fire. How quickly do your muscles fire? How many motor neurons can it recruit? How quickly? Rate coding. That's why like you can see someone jump super high, but they might not be really big. Do you know how strong they have to be to jump really high? These sprinters, how strong they have to be to go really fast. It's not just how big the muscle is, but also how efficient your brain is at telling your muscle to fire.
So it's about recruiting more of the muscle
motor unit
at the same time.
Yes, as quickly as possible, over and over and over and over again. And training that to happen without fatiguing.
Wow. How do you do that?
Well, that's my special ebook. No, that's through...
That is $59.99 per month.
So that is through, again, proper strength training, heavy weights, lower repetitions, but then also through certain plyometric type training.
Okay.
Jumping type training, speed squats, and that's a whole different discussion. But yeah, it's just essentially the stronger you get, the more force that you can produce, and the more force you can produce, the faster you can accelerate. Force equals mass times acceleration. The greater force you can produce.
Whoa, this isn't a math program. Back it down.
Let's dumb it down a little.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like the stronger you get, up to a point, the faster and more explosive you can be as well.
Thank you. There you go. That's better for me. I went through a program. I used, have you ever heard of RP, Renaissance Periodization?
Yeah, good friends with them. That's Mike Israetel, right?
Nick Shaw? Is
Yeah, Nick Shaw and Mike. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so another guy. Okay, and like, I was one of those people. I had Nick was helping me. He was like emailing me, and at one point I was like, it doesn't work because I was eating too many fucking calories. Like I was totally wrong. But they have that sort of gave me a little bit more of a scientific insight into they do what's like massing and then cutting. So, eating in a calorie surplus, usually more carbohydrate while you're lifting weights, like the will train for carbs thing. And gaining muscle, and then going on a cut afterwards to like reduce the body fat, but let the new lean muscle mass emerge that you've grown.
So get more defined.
Is it important to go through a cycle, or can you always just stay in an absolutely spot on, lean, beautiful state? Because I wish you'd tell me the second one.
I wish the second one was possible, but this is not how anything works in life in general. It's like, if you want to get bigger, you need to be in a calorie surplus. If you want to lose fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. So doing both at the same time, while it's possible, it takes massive patience and an immense amount of time. And the reality is you'll probably make more progress by going through phases than by trying to do it at the same time.
How do you do it?
For me personally,
because you recently you were very, again, you call out whatever you've got going on, you put it on the table, that way nobody can come to you and be like, wow, you got really skinny. Why? You're like, no, I wrote about it, didn't you see? But you were a bodybuilder, and then you did your lifting, and then you went on the road, and things got, you weren't putting yourself first. And that's fine. I believe that we all go through phases in our life where those kinds of things 100%. Happen. So you got back on the train and you were like, okay, I want to get my shit together, and it's time to get back to where I'm comfortable again, essentially, right?
So basically, I was an elite powerlifter. I deadlifted 4 times my body weight. I deadlifted 535 at 132. After that, I was like super burned out, but then I started coaching Gary. And when you're going from Hong Kong to LA to New York to Miami, everywhere. So like, it was insane. So, and I focused way more on my business. So I let my own personal fitness go down. When I got back on track, now mainly I'm in a really cool phase where I get newbie gains, because I took such a time period away that now I get back and my gains are going to come back way more quickly. So basically I'm training 4 days a week, like super simple. And I'm not trying to be like a world record powerlifter at this point. I'm not trying to like lift as much weight as I can in the world. I'm just trying to get back in, make it a habit. I think, and this is a whole separate topic, too many people rely on motivation rather than habits. And when you rely on motivation, you're going to burn out at some point. Like for you right now, working out, it's a habit. You do it every day. It's like, that's just what you do.
Like I think about when I set my alarm clock, the first thing I think about is working out. Like,
that's it.
I got to work out at this time so I can get it done by this time.
And it doesn't mean that some days you don't have to motivate yourself to do it, but because it's not an option for you, it's just part of your daily routine, you need less motivation because you've built that habit. That's my goal with everybody, is to get to a point where your fitness, your workouts, your nutrition, it becomes habit. That's the hardest part to get to, but that's the goal.
I feel like this is one of those things, like figuring out what's right for you. For me, I've gone through phases of working out. I did everything from running to then doing some weightlifting. Finally, when I started lifting a little bit of weight, I realized, oh wow, you don't get bulky. I was totally one of those thinkers. Then you go through high reps, lower weight, and then I went through some yoga. And you go through these phases, and you're like, I don't know what's right. And then I did CrossFit, and I was like, man, this is it for me. But I've tried a lot of things, and I still don't even know, is that what's perfect for me? Does that even exist about what works best for my body and what's the most effective, or is it just, I feel like you're just going to tell me, Danica, be realistic. It's about consistency. It's about exertion of energy. It's about burning calories, and it's about your total caloric intake.
I mean, that's the thing. It's not the sexy answer. People like to hear extremes. This is right. This is wrong. This is stupid. This is smart. That's not how it works. For me, is number one, what are you going to do that you enjoy that allows you to see consistent progress without taking over your whole life? That's it. It's like, what do you enjoy that allows you to see progress without taking you away from everything else?
You
That's
burn
it.
out, essentially.
If you love CrossFit, do CrossFit. If you love Pilates, do Pilates. If you love powerlifting, do powerlifting. If you love doing all of them, do all of them. But I think people really run into a rut when they think, okay, well, but what's the best? What's the best one? I need just the one. And then they hate doing it. They don't even like it. And then they're not consistent with it. And they're like, well, I did that and I didn't see any progress. It's like, well, how long did you do it for? 4 days. It's like, that's the problem. You only did it for 4 days. If you found something you loved and you did it consistently, maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's not the best for you. But at least you did it consistently, and that's how you see progress.
How long do you feel like you need to give something a fair shot?
90 days. 90 days. There we go.
That's a high five.
Oh,
right
high
there.
five.
Jeez. It's okay.
I thought you were.
No, high five. Like, I fought for that in my book. I was like, I didn't have to fight hard. It's my book, right? But they were, whole like, oh, they want to hear like you can be fucking miracles in 30 days. I'm like, water weight. I can make you have a miracle for water weight.
I can make
in like
you
a
so
week.
much water weight in a week.
So much water weight in a week.
You'll hate it. But.
I know, right? And it'll be gone, and you'll be fat again. But I said, look, I don't feel like you can truly make things happen unless you give it 90 days. Like, because you have that
100%.
honeymoon phase when you start, because you've probably changed your diet. You've started sweating. You're getting rid of more water weight then. You're shocking the system, some newbie gains.
Yep, exactly.
I love that new term, and that I didn't know. It's new to me. And so you get in that first sort of 3 weeks-ish, you kind of get this like, oh my God, everything's so amazing.
Yes.
I've lost like 6 pounds. And then they get into like week 6 and 7 and 8, and they're like,
fuck this.
This sucks. Nothing's happening anymore. I've actually gained a pound.
Yep.
And I'm like, just hang in there. And then finally, by the end of the 12 weeks, it's like, I felt like, and maybe you can tell me what the reality is of this, but I felt like, you get that newbie gain, you get that like water weight loss is a lot of it, I feel like. And then you start building some muscle up, and muscle weighs 2.5 times more than fat.
Mm-hmm.
You start getting the muscle on. I felt like, until that body catches up with burning that fat off, like then I feel like at the end of the 12 weeks, the fat has now come off based on the muscle gain, based on, the total caloric expenditure as well. What the hell's happening that makes me think that?
I swear, I literally just wrote about this from the perspective of there's so much confusing information because someone will try a diet. They'll go on their diet and they'll be like 3 days in and they'll be like, this is the best diet ever. This is like the best diet ever. And they're 3 days in. So then like they're telling all their friends it's amazing. And they get like 2 weeks in and all of a sudden like their weight spikes up and they're like, but they don't want to tell anyone about it. So they're like, they just keep it quiet. But then they try something else in a month. Like, oh no, now I'm doing this and this is the best thing ever. So you always have people saying this is the best, this is the best, this is the best. And you're like, well, I don't know, like Cheryl said this and Karen said this and I don't know who the fuck to believe. It's so, number one is I like that 90-day timeline because when you actually do it for 90 days, no bullshit. Like through the times that are tough, through the times when your weight goes up, through the times when things aren't going your way, then you actually see if it works or not, right? So that's number one. It's funny. I've been approached by people to write a book, and they're like, "What kind of book? Like 21 days?" So
I know, right? They wanted like 30 or 60. I'm like, no.
I'm going to write a book called The 5-Year Plan, and it's going to sell zero because no one wants the 5-year plan.
Exactly.
But like that's what you need.
Yeah.
And I always say, it's like, listen, if I told you that in 5 years you would look the way you want, feel the way you want for the rest of your life, would you do it? It's like, yeah, absolutely.
And then people
it's like,
would.
but you're going to keep choosing the 7-day detox cleanse, the 31-day, the 20-day fix, the 14.5-hour, whatever. And it's like, and you'll do that for the rest of your life and never reach your goals. Yeah. Whereas if you just fucking took the 5-year plan and did it, you'd be great.
Yep.
But what happens is, especially with weight loss, the scale fluctuates.
Yes.
For no fucking reason. For far outside of fat gain and loss. No one.
Weigh yourself at the beginning of the day, then the end, and you'll just be like, what?
Seriously. Literally.
I don't do it.
Weigh
That's
yourself,
why.
then drink a bottle of water, you've gained a pound.
Yeah. Like,
that's how it works. So people, and even though they might logically know the scale is not going to go down every day, subconsciously they get really upset when it might spike up. They get really fucking. One of my most popular YouTube videos was explaining the science of scale fluctuation, understanding why sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes up, and I've seen I have 3 main patterns I've identified in people where it'll go like this, down, up, and then you're going to see a spike. And no matter what, and a lot of it's due to menstrual cycle, sometimes for women, a lot of times it's due, like if you have sodium, whatever it is. But it's not fat gain. So people will get to that 2-week, 3-week, 4-week point, like, fuck this is stupid, it's not working. And it's like solely based on the scale, but it's like, well, you've lost measurements with your clothes, you're down in size, your strength is up, you're making progress. Like, people have been telling you clearly look leaner, but you're gonna get pissed off that the scale went up half a pound. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. And that's why that 90 days is so important, because even and especially when your scale spikes up, even and especially when you feel like it's not working, that's when you have to keep going, because that's the only way you find out if it works. Patience is the game.
If you want something you've never had, you're going to have to do something you've never done.
That's exactly right.
I mean, people just aren't willing to do it.
I think the hard part is, like, with so much stuff being thrown at you, it's like, no keto diet, no intermittent fasting, no this. And people are like, as soon as they get to a point where it's tough, they look for the other answer. It's like, no, when you get to that point where it's tough, that's when you keep going. that's when you have to stick with it. And maybe that way isn't right for you, but at least you found that out. At least you stuck through it. You saw it through. You're like, you know what? I don't like this. It's like, cool.
I had even thought to myself for a hot second, you put information.
I love
you
this.
put a
Let's
video
go.
out about it. I was like, I'm 37. It's my hormones.
People get so mad when I bring these topics up.
I said that to myself. I'm like, I'm gonna go to my my doctor and that I get my monthly yearly checkups, and I'm like, I should probably get my blood tested for hormones. I think that's why I'm gaining weight. I stopped racing and I gained a couple pounds, and I didn't actually. What's the funny is that I don't think anything fit too much different. It wasn't dramatic enough for me to notice. Because then again, we're talking about 112 to 103 when you had to do that in high school. Big difference. So,
yep.
Gaining a couple pounds out of 110 is especially with girls, our pants are already painted on. There's no room for the paint to crack,
You feel it,
Yeah.
But on a smaller frame, you feel it way more. Absolutely.
Oh, you absolutely do. And it was one of those things where I was like, I just have to face the music. And so what do you struggle with? What do you feel like, for yourself, what are the most difficult things when it comes to, let's say, training?
When it comes to training, I'll be honest, I'm at a point where, I love training. I enjoy it. It's great. I think, for me personally, the hardest thing that I go through, so I grew up powerlifting. I grew up lifting as heavy as possible. That was my main goal. My main goal was to the 4 times my body weight. Less than 10 people have done that in the history of ever. So that was what I wanted to do always.
Yeah. I thought my 255 deadlift was good.
Which it is good. That's double your body weight. It's amazing. So
wait, what? You double?
It's double your. So
go ahead.
What I wanted to do that forever. And so for me, the hardest part mentally is not going max effort every set, right? As someone who comes from the competition
max
background,
effort being
lifting
1
as
rep
heavy
max,
as I possibly can.
Getting to a 1 rep max,
good.
basically.
I
do CrossFit. This is all my vocab. This is my vocab, baby.
That's right.
So yeah, I get it, because when you go into the gym, you think especially if you're training by yourself, because you probably don't have a trainer, you are a trainer. And I go into the gym too, and I just do my own thing, and then I'll be hanging out and kind of doing some back squatting. I'll be like, but just put a little more on and do 1 less rep, and then just put a little more on and do 1 less rep, and then
let's
all of a sudden
let's
just check the PR. Let's just check it.
Let's just see, why not? And so for me, from my background, that's always been my hardest, is because I'm super competitive. I just want to see, am I getting better? Am I getting better? And it's a huge fallacy, because I know the only way to get better is not solely through lifting more weight. There are many ways to improve, but that's where I struggle. And with nutrition, I struggle because I just really like eating pizza. I just love pizza. So and I'm at a point where it's I'm not trying to step on stage. I'm not going to get on stage in a thong and tan myself. I'm not.
So do you just take it into caloric consideration and just go look, I just can't eat a lot of other things today.
Basically, it's listen, I could have more rice with this chicken, or I could not have the rice at all and then have pizza later, and that's way better. And I'll just do that.
What do you think about, I feel like it's always such a topic. People just, they love it, right? Because they get freedom, which is, to me, I call it an unhealthy association with food. It's an unhealthy relationship with food when you live for your cheat days or your cheat meals.
It is a dangerous road to go down.
Because to me, you're just saying that you hate healthy food. Because you're I love the unhealthy so much. So what are your thoughts about cheat meals?
Number one, I fucking hate the term cheat meal or cheat day. I hate it.
Maybe it's just got a wrong title.
Because it's implying that you're doing something bad.
Right.
And when you imply that you're doing something bad, then it's sort of hey, don't pull the fire alarm. It's that's what I want to pull the fire alarm. It's the more you create this idea that you're cheating or you're doing something bad, the more you're I can't wait. And they spend all week planning their cheat day. Yeah. And it's then they binge. It's in no situation is binging good. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's not saying you can't have these foods in moderation, but the fact that you're spending an entire day shoveling as much of it in your mouth as you can, it's not a really good habit. You shouldn't be doing that. So for me, number one is if you want to have a treat, have a treat. If you want to have a food, but don't say you're cheating. What happens is a lot of people will then develop these binge cycles with that type of eating. And they create this idea of good food, bad food. And when you do that, then you create this really bad relationship with food. Or as soon as you have one treat, it's like, I did something bad. I must have screwed up. It's like, listen, no one got fat from having one donut. No one got fat from having one slice of pizza. No one got skinny from having one salad. No one got jacked from going to one workout. Right. It's all about what you're doing consistently over time. So for me, I would way rather if someone wants a slice of pizza or wants a donut, like, learn how to have it in moderation rather than only having it on binging or completely eliminating it all at once. It's like it's a generally healthier lifestyle to learn how to balance it rather than to, well, if I'm going to eat it, I'm only going to eat it along with 10,000 other calories of junk. It's like, why don't you have it as part of an overall healthy diet?
Yeah, they kind of do a dive on it and use it as a catalyst to just go crazy.
It's terrible. It's a really bad relationship with food.
You know, when people ask me, you know, what's your cheat foods or whatever, I'm like, I don't really have any. I'm like, I crave healthy food. I'm like, but if there was something I had, I'm like, maybe too much of something healthy. I'm like, or, you know, like granola and trail mix, I can go a little nuts with. I'm like, I
can go a little nuts with it.
I go a little nuts with it, and literally, that's clever. I didn't mean to. I just and then there's wine. I love wine.
Okay.
Look, it has a lot of calories. I understand. And then I would say the other thing would be chocolate. Like those are my things. Like, and I like dark chocolate. So
amazing.
Dark chocolate, some red wine, a little granola, and trail mix. I mean, that's like where I've arrived at finally that for me are like my cheat. I don't even like call them cheats. They're just like I eat a little too much of something good.
And you enjoy it, and you get back on track.
Yeah.
And like for me, the way I always frame it to make it as simple as possible is, don't eat like an asshole. Like, that's it. Everyone knows what to eat generally. Yeah. And like, if you're spending most of your day eating like an asshole, that's your problem.
You're an asshole.
If a very small minority of your week is spent eating like an asshole, you're probably gonna be fine. But just generally speaking, don't eat like an asshole, and occasionally eat like an asshole a little bit.
I just believe cheat days happen. They happen naturally. That's kind of like life happens. You went on
Thanksgiving, whatever.
Right.
It's like you have
like a party or something. You go to a baseball game and you're drinking beers and whatever. Yes. Like all the cheat happens, or you're in an airport and there's just not a lot of good options. Exactly. So you just go, these are my. So I don't ever they naturally happen. Or you'll go out to a really nice dinner and you're like, it's a. Like for me, I'm a little foofy with my food. Like tasting menus are my cheat meals when I go out. Like I'm like, you know what? But they're very open. I do ask for dairy and gluten free on whenever I go somewhere, and they actually accommodate it very kindly. But yeah, I mean, I'll kind of bring whatever I'm not like worried like, oh my God, I've had too many ounces of. But that's what I think about that. Now, the other thing that's kind of in that similar vein, but much more positive actually, is the rest days.
Yep.
And I'm terrible at them. Like I have to force myself to rest, and I still give myself the latitude to call a rest day a 5-mile walk and an hour and a half of yoga.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. And this is like super like transparent and honest. Let's say for example, you can't work out one day because of schedule, because of whatever. Do you get anxiety?
Only if I could. So,
you could have
let's say when I traveled to New York on Monday, I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get ready, get on the plane. I didn't work out at all that day. No big deal. I had to get up so early. No stress on that, because I believe that just like cheat meals, let's just give them their stupid title. I believe that rest days happen naturally.
Perfect.
I go on vacation and I can not work out for the whole week.
Amazing.
Doesn't mean I don't want to be active. Like it doesn't mean like I want to just sit there and be a lard, right? Like I'll be like, hey, let's go for a walk. Hey, let's go to, let's go walk. Let's go skiing. Let's go on the boat. Let's go swimming. Let's go. Like I like being active, but I don't have to work out.
That's the important distinction to make. And I just spoke about this. It's really important. If taking a rest day gives you anxiety or makes you resent your family or your friends because like you have to, or if it creates these negative emotions, you have a problem.
Yeah.
You should be able to take a rest day without it destroying your day or getting pissed at your kids or because you had to take a rest day. Yeah. If taking a rest day is something that you can do and it's okay, like that's good. Yeah. Rest day is I also think that when you make it part of your day-to-day, like sort of Gary does, then that's great because it's just a daily habit. Yeah. And I mean, I walk every day. I like try and walk. I try and walk at least 30, if not an hour. like 30 minutes for an hour at least, just because like I feel better for it.
Yeah.
I try and get my workout in early in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I try and just because it's done, I feel better for it.
Yeah.
If I don't get a workout in, it's not the end of the world, but like I'll always try and be active because I feel better for it. But I think the issue arises when you literally get a panic response from like going on vacation and it's like, oh my God, am I going to lose all my progress? It's like, you didn't make all your progress in a week. You're not going to lose it in a week.
Right.
Like there has to be that balance. And that's what really people struggle with. It's usually either not working out at all or going to the nth degree and really going crazy with it. You have to find the middle ground.
Yeah. Amen. All right. I want to power through some topics.
Cool.
And I just kind of want to hear your perspective.
Let's do it.
You can talk about them as little as you want, as much as you want. But I'm curious about a lot of these things. So, okay, pre-workout.
The supplements?
Mm-hmm. Just pre-workout supplements.
My favorite pre-workout's coffee. Like,
Amen.
It's super affordable.
Yep.
Tastes great.
Yep.
Boost. I mean, the research on caffeine is outrageous. Like as a performance enhancer, neurological enhancer.
I've been told by any trainer, any fitness expert, somebody that I'm talking to about like what can I take, whether it was Nick or whether from RP or whether it was other trainers I've talked to, and they always include caffeine.
Yeah, I mean, the only sport that caffeine is not good for is the biathlon. When they're shooting and they try and shoot in between heartbeats because the heartbeat
it's a narrow window.
That's it. It's a narrow window. Any other sport, improvement from
beta
caffeine.
blockers, perfect. Caffeine, terrible.
That's exactly. So from a performance perspective, energy perspective, it's great. Now, I personally don't buy pre-workout because it's way more expensive. And it's just like, I like coffee enough to where that's perfect for me.
I look at all the shit in it, though. There's so much. There's artificial sugars. There's a bunch of stuff I can't understand. So
I'm not as concerned about that stuff, mainly because, number one, it's dose dependent. Like, you're not having that much of it. It's not like you're going to be, that's not the majority of your diet.
Okay.
And for me, it's like, okay, I always have to think about both sides of the coin here. So if someone isn't going to work out, if they don't take it, or if they will, if they do take it, am I more happy that they're actually being active, even if they're taking some artificial sweeteners and all that stuff with it? It's like better off that they work out than not at all.
Right.
For me.
Right.
It's like the benefits of physical activity are far outweigh than any potential negative side effects of the other stuff. So I would way rather them do that if it's the choice between the two, if that makes sense.
So the 5 calories of your and do you believe that all the calories are accurate, as in like I feel like I've heard that like let's say with like a Diet Coke or something like that, where they say that your body reacts to artificial sugar as if it was real.
That is arguably the dumbest fucking thing I hear on a consistent basis.
Well, thanks a lot. You just offended me.
I tweeted about this recently. It's just like, well, so no, there's technically no calories, but your body thinks there's calories. So your body switches them and then all of a sudden you get fat. It's like, no, if there's 0 calories, there's 0 calories. It doesn't trick your body. It's like, people cite the most outrageous articles saying like, well, no, because sugar's sweet. Okay, so then you eat this thing that's sweet and all of a sudden your body thinks that there's calories. It's like, what? Are you out of your mind? There's literally 0 research saying that. Now, some people will hear this and go in the comments and be like, oh my God, he's saying you should drink like all the Diet Coke. It's like, no, you shouldn't have 12 cans of Diet Coke a day. That's fucking stupid. But
why?
I mean, generally speaking, you probably just wouldn't want to have that much. Like 1 a day is okay, but like you don't want to just too much of anything. Exactly.
Moderation.
But no, 0 calorie things are 0 calorie. That being said, there are some tricky things you can do. So for example, the spray butter stuff, that. So what they'll do is they'll say 0 calories, right? But if you look at the serving size, there'll be like 5,000 servings in it. And the thing is, as long as it's less than 5 calories per serving, they can say 0. So if like you do, let's say 1 serving is 5 sprays, but all of a sudden,
I mean, I use that spray stuff. No, this was a reach for, this was like a handout for, oh my God, you're helping me. Thank you.
You just have to be aware of it.
I mean, like 0. For me, I use, cause I feel like it's better coverage and I don't use like spray butter. Like I can't believe it's not butter. But I use the, 100% pure, avocado oil, or 100% just, coconut, or 100%
those have calories
ghee or something like that.
If you look at the serving size,
oh yeah, they do kind of say
it's like 100 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like, why not just? But a Diet Coke is 1 serving per can.
Yeah.
Has 0. It might be 3 or 4 calories. Who knows? But it's 0 calories and doesn't convert to sugar in your body by some magical potion spell. That's not how it works.
Pre-workout the shit out of it then.
I don't like it. A lot of pre-workout has beta-alanine in it, which makes you tingly.
I used to take beta-alanine all the time.
I bet you did.
I had a trainer told me to take beta-alanine, and I took beta-alanine for probably...
You get tingly from it?
No, I never did.
You didn't?
No. I took it for, 8 or 10 years.
And it helped.
I actually stopped and thought, shit, what's going on? And I didn't put it together, and I was like, maybe it's the lack of beta-alanine.
So beta-alanine, there are a very small handful of supplements that actually work. Creatine, beta-alanine, caffeine are like the major ones.
What's a good supplement company for that? Like, where would I get? I was going to ask you for after, but anybody would want to know. Where do I get beta-alanine?
I mean, I would literally just go to your supplement store and get pure beta-alanine, because you get pre-workouts and they put just enough to do nothing. In a pre-workout, they put just enough creatine to do nothing, because they'll say a proprietary blend, which means they can put whatever the fuck they want in whatever amounts. They don't actually have to tell you. So
it's like natural ingredients.
It's
or
ridiculous.
Natural.
Anything that says proprietary blend is just don't get it. Just get pure beta-alanine if you want it. Beta-alanine is good for higher repetition, longer duration. Creatine is better for maximal strength, force production. So if you want to lift heavier weight, creatine is a really good option. If you just want,
does it make you puffy?
It can make you retain water, which so creatine monohydrate can do that, which is my preferred option for it. But if it upsets your stomach or makes you hold on to water, micronized creatine is a really good option. Now,
micronized.
Well, yeah, exactly. And while you're writing that down, I want to
Creatine.
say, keep in mind, supplements are supplemental, right? It's great because you already have your training in check, you have your nutrition in check,
Yeah.
you have your sleep in check.
Yeah.
For people listening who are like, oh, I got to get this, but you haven't trained 3 times a week for like in the last 3 years, like you got a problem. Focus on your actual habits first.
Got it. Okay.
The supplements don't work unless you work, if that makes sense.
Amen. Good stuff. Okay. Keto.
Okay.
We kind of covered it. We can skip over this one.
It's up to you.
It's not for the long term.
Listen, I'll say this. If you can do it long term, great. But most people, they get super defensive about it. They're like, I lost 40 pounds in the last 10 days. I'm like, that's amazing. Tell me how it goes for you the next year. It's like, if you can do it forever, fantastic. Personally, I like going to a party and having potato chips without feeling like I'm a failure. But that's just me.
My friend did it, and she was like, I got the app, and everybody's losing tons of weight. And she's like, I did it, and I became obsessed with food. And she's like, I'd screw up one little thing, and then just be like, well, fuck it, I'm not in ketosis, so whatever,
People are very quick to make... They like to reduce health to nutrition. That's all. They're like, well, it's just nutrition. And then all they think about is nutrition. I'm like, there's a lot more to health than just what you're putting in your mouth. Not to mention, it's the relationship you have with what you're putting in your mouth. If you're looking at the room around you, what everyone else is eating, and you're like, oh, I wish I was having that. I wish I was having that. If you're looking or judging everybody based on what they're eating, oh, they're stupid. They're going to die early. They're going to get cancer. It's like, you need to chill. You need to relax. Have a donut and chill for a second, because there's way more to life than having such a reductionist view of everything you're doing with food. It's like, let's just chill for a second, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's just enjoy ourselves.
Agreed.
Stay on track. Don't eat like an asshole, but relax. It's okay.
I hear you. I totally agree. Okay, weight training.
I love it. I mean, I see no reason for anybody not to weight train. And there's a million different ways to weight train. There's like powerlifting, there's bodybuilding, there's just full body weight training, there's body part splits, there's a million different ways. I suggest you try everything and give everything a shot for 90 days at least to give it, see how it goes.
This is a miracle. Think about it. If you tried every program for 90 days,
that'd be amazing.
You'd be dead. You'd just be super fit. You'll try everything.
You'd be super fit. And fine. I mean, for CrossFit, if you love CrossFit, do CrossFit. If you love
CrossFit. What's your thoughts on CrossFit?
So I'll give you the pros and cons. The pros.
I don't want to hear the cons. So
okay, so we're only going to talk about...
Tell me them all.
So for the pros of CrossFit, I love that they use full body compound movements. I love that. Squats, deadlifts, overhead press.
So you like the Olympic lifting?
I love the Olympic lifting part of it. I love the community part of it.
Yeah.
It's huge. I think they do that better than any other group. They do that better than
magic.
It's incredible. And
you're
the
competing
fact that
against each other, yet you're cheering for each other.
it's amazing.
What the hell?
And the fact, like, for me, if you're getting people up off their couch and into a gym, you win.
Okay.
Like, that's way better than anything else.
Yeah.
My issues with CrossFit, it's the barrier to entry to become a coach in general is too small. To become a personal trainer, you could go online and take a course and all of a sudden you're a coach. To become a CrossFit coach is too easy. And especially for the Olympic lifts. I have some friends that are coaches, CrossFit coaches, they're amazing. They're incredible. I also know some CrossFit coaches who spent a weekend course
I have
learning
my
the
level
Olympic
1.
lifts.
I got my level 1 certification, and
It was a weekend, right?
yeah, it was 2 days.
2 days to learn the most.
The test was not challenge. It was challenging. The test was like, holy crap, what's the right answer? But and you have to pass that. But as far as the hands-on training goes, it's a dangerous position to be put in.
That's right. The snatch is the single most dangerous and complex movement in all of weightlifting.
And I suck at it.
100%.
So yes, so there wasn't enough time spent on all of the lifts.
And it's impossible.
You did like a med ball clean.
Yep.
But like, let's face it, we don't ever really do med ball cleans in class.
That's right.
So I get like the mechanics on some level, but yeah, I see what you're saying. And to be an assistant coach, you could have your level 1, but you need to go through the Olympic lifts.
My biggest thing is like, my foremost concern is, number one, getting people to work out. That's number one.
Yep.
After that is how do we keep them safe?
Yep.
And jumping brand new beginners into doing snatches is
dangerous.
Super dangerous.
100%. Okay. Bar class.
I've never done it, so I have to be forthright with that. From the people who have done it and told me it's very difficult, which for me, like, difficult doesn't equal effective, but if you enjoy it, like, great. I have nothing to add because I'm ignorant on it, because I haven't done it. Other than if you enjoy it, it's great. Fair. But like,
why don't you get Kenzie out? How would Kenzie like bar class?
Kenzie would love She does it all the time. She's done it like 2 times. Best thing ever. Changed her life.
Her butt is so tight now.
It made her sore though. It's like, oh my God.
I mean, look, I've taken a couple of bar classes, and
have you?
I judge it heavily.
Because
we could literally be doing bar right now. It's like activation on small little muscles. Like, look at me, I'm doing my left butt cheek right now.
So it's maximal contractions.
It's like tiny little movements where you're like, you like lift your leg and you isolate this one muscle underneath your butt, and then there's like one little part where you're using like 2-pound weights and look, it burns. So I don't understand because I'm really strong, but there'll be like constant movement of the weights, and you're like, it burns. Well, yeah, you're holding something up in the air for a couple of minutes.
That's exactly right. Hold your arms up like this for 10 minutes, it's gonna burn.
God, it burns, and you're not doing anything. You're not holding anything.
That's the issue.
It's a little like, I mean, yes, you kind of, there's some sweating a little bit, and you're kind of like, whoa, that burns. But like, I don't know. Anything where you can almost not tell that I'm doing a movement to me is not really good.
I didn't know that. Like, I want to encourage movement for sure. I think the issue with something that it sounds like to me is that people are chasing a feeling instead of a result. They're chasing the feeling of it being difficult, of it burning. People chase the feeling of sweating. You listen to people talk about their coaches. I have the best coach. He just kicks my ass. It's like, why is that your best coach? Like, how have the results been?
Yeah.
Like, people like to feel like they got really just like kicked to the ground, like they're sweating and panting. It's like, there's a difference between chasing a feeling and a stimulus versus chasing a result. Most people will do something, but they don't actually get the result they want. It's like, we need to stop chasing the feeling of burning, stop chasing the feeling of sweating, and okay, let's do this for 12 weeks and then measure your actual results. How much fat have you lost? How much muscle have you gained? How much strength have you gained? When you start doing that.
So are you telling me I need to try bar class for 90 days?
No, because you hate it.
Okay, moving on. I mean, this is something I used to do, endurance training. Running. Like, think about it. There are a lot of people that go and they jump on that damn elliptical, and that's the other thing. There are 2 things that I judge heavily: bar class and the elliptical machine. And I've done both, so I'm qualified to at least have some kind of an opinion. But the elliptical to me is just a cop out.
I used the elliptical exclusively to cut weight when I was wrestling because it was just so easy on my joints.
You just move. You're just like going.
This. Now, listen again, and something is always better than nothing. Always.
Yes, I agree. Look, when I see people and I'm like, again, I want to judge for a second, and then I'm like, but they're here.
My thing is then it's like, my issue isn't with the person on the elliptical. It's with the person I see on the elliptical every day, 7 days a week, for 3 years and they aren't happy with their results. It's like,
Right.
do something else.
Right.
Go fucking deadlift.
If you want something
Go
you've never
squat.
had, you're going to have to
You
do
have to-
something you've never done.
It's the same people who do the same exact workout over and over again for years straight. It's like, if you want to change how you look, you got to change your workout. If you want to change how strong you are, change your performance, you got to do something different.
Yeah.
The elliptical, if you want to warm up on the elliptical, great. If you want to like do a little extra cardio, great.
Yep.
But if that's your workout,
Yeah.
you need to add a little something else.
I also, my other sort of part of it that I think is when I see it is I'm like, I bet they just don't know what else to do.
That's exactly right.
They're scared of
Or-
the weights. They don't know how to move them. They don't know what
Yeah.
to do with them.
It's intimidating to go to the gym. They don't know
Of
what
course,
to
they
do.
go to the weight section. They're like, no, that's where all the Gold's Gym burly men go. They're like,
Exactly.
they're not comfortable there. So I think a lot of it is just the
Fear.
pure comfort level of stepping off
Absolutely.
of that elliptical or off of the treadmill or off of that bike and getting over somewhere else and like pulling down a machine, pulling on a bar, or lifting something up. That's
Absolutely. I think, and the most important message I give to anyone in that situation is no one gives a fuck what you're doing in the gym.
yeah.
Like, a lot of people are scared to go to the weight section because they're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like, what are people going to think?
Yeah.
No one's looking.
Yeah.
They're all-
Nobody gives a shit.
No one gives a shit.
No,
It's like
no.
everyone's too focused on themselves. That's why
Yeah.
you see someone do 5 crunches and lift their shirt up and then like they pretend to wipe the sweat off, but they're actually looking at their stomach. And that one like, oh yeah. It's
They're like, yeah, that's pretty good.
everyone's too focused on themselves than they are to focus on you. And it's almost like everybody in the gym is in their own mind thinking everyone else is looking at them.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, no. Like, get the fuck in the gym.
Yeah.
Do some squats. Do some push-ups.
Yeah.
Like, and just get better. Just do something. Just get in there. Lift some weight.
So I have my general sort of theory on it again because I didn't go to school for any of this, but it's just 20 some years of practice.
And success leaves
25
clues.
years. Thanks, but is that cardio can change the size of your body,
Okay.
but it won't change the shape of your body.
I like that.
So weights are going to change the shape of your body. And so if you look at two people that weigh the same amount, but one has muscle definition,
Yep.
they're going to look leaner.
I like to use the example of a marathon runner versus a sprinter. Mm-hmm. If you Google a marathon runner, like they'll be very skinny, generally speaking,
Yeah.
but not really strong
Yeah.
or defined. You
Yep.
look at a sprinter, they're
Yep.
fucking jacked.
Yes.
Why? Because they lift heavy, they're strong, they have to do workouts
Yep.
that specifically improve power and performance in a very short period. And to do that, you have to be super strong.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense
Yep.
for a marathon runner to carry that much mass.
Yeah.
Because it's going to
Yeah.
inhibit them.
Yep.
But that's the perfect example of
Yep.
someone who does cardio, no weightlifting versus
Yep.
someone who does cardio and
Yeah,
weightlifting.
with my program, there's 7 workouts a week, and I encourage there to be 2 two-a-days and 2 rest days.
Yeah.
And so the cardios are not like go run for 30 minutes. They're all interval.
Nice.
Because my theory is like, have you ever seen a sprinter without a 6-pack?
That's right. It's pole vault, sprinter, everything. Like, it's exactly right.
So
Super low body fat, high
Yeah.
muscle density, super
Yeah.
outrageously strong.
yeah, protein powder.
I love it.
Yeah.
Protein powder is great. It's a super convenient way to help you get your protein intake,
Yeah.
especially if like it's 8 p.m. and you don't want to have a chicken breast or whatever. It's just like take a quick shake. It's fantastic. A lot of people.
So you mean the body's not sensing that sweetness and being like, oh, it's sugar.
My God. Oh yeah, this must be like terrible for me.
Okay, good. I'm going to totally double down my dosage. Because again, I don't eat as much meat as I used to. So
In which
I
case
pretty
it's
much
super
only eat
important.
fish. So, I'm not having fish for breakfast unless I'm, of course, in Japan. So,
Right.
And then it's pickled. But it's
Yep.
it's something that I now have in my diet. Again, since I started tracking my calories, I eat protein powder every morning, and I have lost some weight.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know. I haven't even weighed myself. But look, shit's fitting a little looser,
There we
so
go.
I know it's working. But I eat protein powder every day, so I'm just double checking. Is that okay?
It's fantastic. I think, again, just like with the supplements, is try and get as pure of just protein as you can.
Yep.
Like, there's no need to get the protein with the supplements, with the this, with the that. Just get protein.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. What about the paleo diet?
I like it from the perspective of any diet that gets you to focus on more whole, unprocessed foods, lean meats, proteins, veggies, fruit, fantastic.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
I have issues with it for a number of reasons. Number one, they say, well, this is how Paleo man ate. It's like, well, which paleo man, because there's paleo people from Alaska, there's paleo people from fucking, like, which paleo person, because the research on that says, like, there's a lot of different paleo diets. So that's sort of me nitpicking on that. Also, the people who take it to an extreme and dogmatic and like, no, like, I'm like, I also say, like, as a joke to sort of piss them off. They're like, I guarantee you if Paleo Man was here, he'd go eat McDonald's. I guarantee it. But so overall, it's fantastic. I think that's a very great way to exemplify not eating like an asshole.
Okay.
Right? I would call that don't eat like an asshole diet.
Yeah.
And that's it. But like to say that is 100% optimal for health, it's like, well, there has to be some moderation too. And like there's no research showing that having some processed food in an overall healthy diet is bad for you. And I think when people take it to the degree of like, oh my God, you had one donut, like all of a sudden you're going to do, it's like, no, it's not like that. It's like, if that's the majority of your diet, amazing.
I start writing obituaries when I see somebody pick up a donut.
People get super cultish with their nutrition fads. I've had people say like, it's like, I hope you get cancer and die. I'm like, oh my God, like, just because I don't agree with your nutritional stance, people get really upset.
Evil.
Guarantee
I'm not that
the comments on this.
But I will judge you.
But I will judge you.
Yeah. Intermittent fasting.
So actually, I have a huge video on this that I made, and I'm totally fine with it. It's 100% fine. I have some issues with it in terms of, that sounded contradictory. I'm fine with it from the perspective of it works as long as you're in a calorie deficit for fat loss, right? So a lot of people will say, does intermittent fasting help with fat loss? It's like, not if you're in a calorie surplus. Like, if you're not in a calorie deficit, it won't help you lose fat. Now, if intermittent fasting helps you from the perspective of you're not hungry in the beginning of the day and you like to eat bigger meals at night, great. That's fantastic. Yeah. I also think there are some health benefits outside of weight loss that you can glean from intermittent fasting, whether it's mental focus, autophagy. Like, there are some cellular benefits you can glean from it as well. That being said, some people, it triggers them to binge eat. Whereas like if they put off eating their calories in the day and they binge eat at night, in which case if you struggle from binge eating, there's no reason for you to do intermittent fasting.
Just perpetuating the problem.
If binge eating is an issue, do not intermittent fast because it will absolutely exacerbate it.
Yeah.
But if it works with your schedule, if you're not hungry for breakfast, great, do it. But
I am not humanly capable of it at all.
You like breakfast.
1,000,000%. I could skip dinner before breakfast.
Perfect.
But I still don't want to intermittent fast. Hell no.
And that's what
nobody
you know
wants to see me. Nobody wants to see me in without food for more than 4 to 5 hours.
I respect. My girlfriend gets super hangry. Like,
you can't.
If she doesn't eat every 2 or 3 hours, she just gets really pissed.
Because I don't eat big enough meals. I do. I like my meals are 300-400 calories, and like I am fucking starving in 3 or 4 hours. Like, holy crap.
I get it. Yeah.
Juice cleanses.
Oh my God. You knew this one was going to trigger me. Oh man, juice cleanses are the fucking worst. They're the fucking worst. Like, I'm moderate with everything except when we get to juice cleanses. Because like,
I mean, I've tried everything, so I've tried it. I have my opinion too, but tell me.
Oh God, where do I begin?
Does it work for anything?
It works for losing water weight.
Yes.
Which doesn't fucking matter.
I know.
People are so
You could do that anyway.
You could just don't drink water for a day. You'll lose water weight. You'll just pee all the rest out. That's
just
fine.
Don't eat salty foods.
Go in a sauna. You lose water weight. Like, go in a hot tub. You lose water weight. Water weight means nothing.
Okay.
People are so...
Right.
How do I just get rid of the water weight? It's like, why? Don't you want to get rid of fat? It's like, not the water. It's the fat. When
people ask about losing weight, like, oh my God, I have something to do in like 3 days or like 5 days or in a week. I'm like, well, all you can do is lose water weight.
Yeah.
That's all you have as an opportunity. That's all you can do in a few days.
That's it.
And it does work. It will come back.
But it doesn't even make that big of a difference. Unless you lose an outrageous amount of water weight, it doesn't make that big of a difference on your physique either.
Totally. Yeah, it's just a number.
It's just like, oh my God, I lost like 4 pounds of water weight. It's like, great.
Okay.
You look the same.
What is the downside?
I fucking hate juice cleanses. They're fucking stupid. They're absolutely ridiculous. And guarantee people are like, oh my God. That is outrageous. They worked for me. Okay, define worked. I lost like 8 pounds. Okay, then what? Then I gained it back when I started eating like a human. It's like no one can do that forever, except maybe a few people who that's what they sell, the people who sell juice cleanses,
Yeah.
the people who that's how they make their income.
Yeah.
That's the people who get really pissed off at me when I say juice cleanses are fucking stupid, and then the person who just raids my comment section be like, this is ridiculous, da da da, and I go to their page and they fucking sell juice.
Of course.
I'm like, okay, what about anyone who just doesn't sell it? Like, what do you guys think? And almost everybody is like, yeah, so I lost weight, but then I started eating normally again and I gained it all back. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem sustainable. It's like people get really mad when they have something to lose from it. And that's the people who are gaining financially from selling people on this fake idea that a juice cleanser is a smart fucking idea.
They're really, really expensive.
They're super expensive, and it's all marketing
And you're
nonsense.
leaving behind the good shit.
Just do
The
this
fiber.
72-hour cleanse. Yeah, literally, they're taking all of the good out of it.
Yeah.
And
all
leaving
you
you
pull
with the
from
sugar.
it is sugar. You're only
That's
pulling
it.
water and sugar.
Let's take the fiber out. Let's just
Get rid of the fiber and the protein.
Fiber.
We don't need any of that.
Get rid of everything that makes you full from it, and we're only going to feed you the sugar water, and just stick with that. You'll be fine.
Good. So
Like,
juice
no
cleanses.
nutrients. We
Scratch
just
that.
want you to be completely
so
free of
then
all
how do you
nutrients.
feel about celery juice?
Fucking yeah. Did you see?
I did it for a while too.
How long did you do it for?
A few weeks.
Did you like it?
It makes you go to the bathroom more often.
Okay.
It might just be from chugging a bunch of liquid though.
Who knows? Maybe chugging a bunch of celery juice actually increases your how you're often you bowel movement, whatever. It's like that's fine. If you're really blocked up, then great, take it. People tout it as actually the major guy who sells celery juice.
Yeah.
He blocked me on Instagram.
Anthony?
Is that his
Oh
name?
no, he's the medical
The
medium.
medical media. He blocked me on Instagram and Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, he blocked me. And I didn't even tag him in anything. I just made a
Wow.
video about it, and he
Wow.
blocked me, which is super interesting. I told Gary about it. I was talking to Gary. I
Yeah.
was like, this guy blocked me. And he was like, that's how you know that they have something to hide. Because if you don't have anything to hide, there's no reason to block you.
Right.
It's like, if you're telling the truth, then you'll talk to anybody about it. And for me I have nothing wrong with celery juice as a drink, but when you're selling that as, it actually infuriates me. I'm about to get pissed because
Do it.
he talks about how it cures cancer. He talks about how it's like, there was a story of someone who died. They didn't take their cancer medication. They didn't do their protocol because they followed this guy's advice, because they're like, oh, well, I'll just have celery juice. They're touting this as an end-all be-all for psoriasis, for curing cancer, for curing your illness. Forget weight loss. Let's just talk about people's lives.
Right.
They're touting it as a cure-all, and
Right.
it's like, fuck
So
you.
it's
Absolutely
not a replacement, but if you want to add it in, be my guest.
If you want to,
right?
if
wanna
you
drink
enjoy
celery
it,
juice,
great. I
go
think it's
for it.
gross, but fuck me. Who am I? If you want celery juice, have celery juice, but don't ever listen to. And if you look at his website, you look at his about page. I have zero medical experience. I am not medically certified at any board
It's
at all.
because he's supposed to, I mean, the medical medium is essentially says he's getting this information intuitively, right?
Yes, he says he's getting it from spirits.
Right.
He's like, but I'm not actually a doctor, but I'm going to make my name the medical
spirits?
medium.
I'm just kidding.
What a fuck. Seriously, and I'm sure I would like to sit down with him and talk with him, and I'm sure he'd be a great guy, but it's outrageously misleading. It's how I couldn't imagine telling people, I couldn't imagine making my name medical something and having no medical experience. That in and of itself should be a warning sign to people. It's he has medical in his name, but then you go deep into the about page where no one's going to read, be like, oh, by the way, a disclaimer, I'm not actually medically experienced. It's oh, you're just getting this from spirits. Fantastic.
Trusted source. Let's put that fire out, and let's kind of close out with, what do you hope to do with your career, with your information? If you were to project out into the future, what's next?
So
Where does it go?
I've been really fortunate. I love what I do. For me, I'm not trying to, I think the thing that allows me to be so honest with what I do is I don't have anything to sell. I'm not trying to sell any supplements. I'm not trying to sell any programs.
P.S. Tough spot to be in probably at this point, because you're getting more popular, and as you get more followers, I don't doubt you get approached.
I get approached all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky because I'm not going to sell anything. I've literally made my entire career based off of
Honesty.
And I couldn't imagine all of a sudden being oh, hey guys, now I have all of this supplement that I want you to take. It's what? So
I'm glad I didn't ask you about that. I have that written down too. Supplements. Yeah. Scratch that.
For me,
okay.
I love speaking. I'm trying to do a lot more speaking engagements,
Cool.
Which I have a bunch booked for this summer and for the
Cool.
rest of 2019. But
Cool.
eventually I'll write a book, and I would like to write the book, the 5-year plan. Like,
Love it.
I would love to do that because it's truthful. Marketing wise, people are like, you're an idiot because no one's going to buy the 5-year plan. But like,
It should be also titled "Don't Be an Asshole." The 5-year plan.
I like that. You know, maybe that'll be the title of the book, and then you get to write the forward.
Love
But
to.
for me, it's like I just want to put as much free content out to help as many people as possible, and that's it. And as it sounds like hippy dippy and whatever, it's the truth. It's like I have nothing to sell. I just want to put out free content, and that's it. And like that's what I love doing.
Yeah. What else makes you happy outside of helping people?
Deadlifting. I really like deadlifting.
You just want that one. Let's get back
That's
to the
like
PR
my favorite
world.
lift ever. Harry Potter. Huge Harry Potter nerd.
Really?
I love Harry Potter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is Hobbiton Harry Potter? No.
Hobbit? No, that's
Hobbiton?
the Lord of the Rings.
That's Lord of the Rings.
I
went
mean, I
there.
love that stuff
yeah,
too,
we
but
went
Harry
there in
Potter
New
is-
Zealand. Okay, that's
Was
different
it cool?
then. It was pretty cool. Okay, Harry Potter. So how does that, what have you done to nurture that love?
Well, I recently just went to the show on Broadway, which was
Oh.
fantastic.
Ah.
But I mean, if you read any of my content on Instagram or even on YouTube, like I sprinkle in Harry Potter references all the
Yeah.
time. So like, for me, I just
wouldn't
like
get it.
Yeah, you haven't read any of the books or
No,
the movies?
No.
Oh God, you're like it's
So
like
we
people
can't.
like I don't agree with like medical medium is number one. Then you're like
Then people like
how
me.
have you never read the books? It's shocking to me.
I don't like to read.
Respect.
And the movies are really long. There's how many are there?
8.
Yeah, that's time consuming.
Yes, that's ridiculous.
You know,
Wrap-
when Game of Thrones had their final season, I hadn't watched for about 5 seasons. I watched the first couple. I'm like, I'm just going to pick it back up. And sure enough, it was almost like a soap opera. You're like, oh my gosh, they're still doing that same thing.
the same thing. Different.
Yeah.
I never watched that stuff. I never watched it. But.
Yeah. So then you are one of those people then that I'm like, oh, you don't watch Game of Thrones? You didn't even watch the final season? I don't think we can
This
be
was all a
friends.
big mistake.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're
This was
very
great.
inspirational, very direct. I really hope that you never lose that, lose that side of you, and not letting people get to you, because it can be hard. Like being in the public forum,
Mm-hmm.
and the more popular you get, I've seen it with other people who generate more and more and more awareness, and they can get to a spot where their content becomes a little they're trying to appeal and appease everyone.
Yes.
And you are going to.
You can't.
And-
And the more you try to, the less you'll actually do.
Do you have some but one more thing, with obviously going to what'd you go to college for again? Had a better title
Behavioral
than
health
actually
psychology.
Behavioral health psychology, and training Gary Vee and being around him and his mindset for so many years. Are there a few things, like maybe 3 things that we can think about as human beings to exist in the world and live our best life?
Yeah, I would say number 1 is, let's say we're talking about social media. If a lot of people are scared to put out content on social media because they're worried about the hate, they're worried about the comments.
You're
And
scared of putting real content.
real
out.
content, exactly.
Right.
Like being their real selves,
Right.
about who might be hating on it, who might be in the comment section. And one of the best lessons I've taken from Gary is, instead of getting angry at the person leaving that hateful comment, you have to feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Because imagine what a sad person that must be to be spending their time on someone else's page, leaving when was the last time you ever went on someone else's page and left a negative comment?
Exactly.
Because you're happy.
To a stranger.
Exactly. So for me, anytime you're worried about putting out content for fear of someone else, you have to remember, if and when they do that, you should feel bad for them.
100%.
Because they're really in a really bad place.
Yep.
Another Garyism, doing the right thing is always the right thing. It's one of my favorite quotes from him. In terms of like, instinctively in your gut, what the right thing to do is. If you have to ask someone like, what do you think about this? It's like, the answer. Like, doing the right thing is always the right thing. And then for the last one, off the top of my head, I would say, if you're unhappy, you can change it. The choice between optimism and pessimism is within you.
100%.
It doesn't mean that it's an easy choice, but it does mean that you can consciously choose the optimistic route as long as you actively, deliberately, consciously choose it.
Yeah. Well said. Jordan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for listening to the Pretty Intense podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you heard today and you want to hear more, please click on the subscribe button.